Hello, everyone. Greetings from my living room. Shortly after Rutgers wins the second half in Madison, Wisconsin, but falls short to the Badgers 96-87. Rutgers is now 0-3 on the road. Rutgers has now gotten destroyed in the first half, 3 consecutive Big Ten games on the road. And Rutgers now falls overall to 9-9 and 2-5 in Big Ten play. We'll dive into the game. First, you guys got to let me know, how do I sound? How do I look? Are we live? Let me know, and we'll dive into this game once I get a thumbs up from somebody. And let me know what you guys thought of the game as well in the chat. This is kind of one of those games where I think most people tuned out after, thank you, Frank R. Thumbs up. We'll keep going. I think most people tuned out at halftime. And if they didn't at halftime, they probably tuned out when Wisconsin went up 26 points with 14 minutes to go. And frankly, I think the Badgers kind of tuned out at that point as well. And that's when Rutgers pounced. And they went on a 22-7 run to cut the deficit to as low as 7 points. And I think put a little bit of nervousness in Madison. Would have been one of the greatest, if not the greatest, comeback in program history. They had a 20.1 in recent years, which was the biggest comeback. It was against Penn State 2 years ago. Derek Simpson, big comeback in the 23-24 season, I want to say. It was the biggest comeback since 1994, maybe the biggest in program history. We're not entirely sure. Apologies for the dog, the snowblower. Start talking right now. Give me a second while we deal with that. Apologies if that sound was a bit grating. But anyway, so Rutgers came back, made it a 7-point game with about 4 minutes to go, and then that's when the wheels kind of fell off. So Rutgers had it at 80-70 with 5:56 to go, and they proceeded to miss 10 of their next 11 shots. And that's when Wisconsin kind of pulled away, mostly from the free throw line, and the game was over there. But the game ultimately ended in the first half when Rutgers was getting beat badly in the paint, when Rutgers was getting beaten badly from three-point range, and when Rutgers was unable to answer that on the other end. I'll kind of start taking in your guys' points because it looks like some comments in the chat. I'll start with Ryan Forbes here. He says, according to his sources, Baye Fall broke his hand. I can't confirm or deny that. I don't know that for sure. I do know that he was listed as out with a hand injury. He was not listed as out for the season. It is what it is. Frankly, I think no matter what, it doesn't really impact Rutgers because Baye Fall played 4 minutes in the past month. He played 4 minutes in a blowout against Illinois. Did not play in any game, against Penn. He didn't play against, Delaware State. He's essentially a non-factor. It's worth figuring out, which we will try to figure out. But he did not play today. I don't think it made much of a difference. Did Pikiell say we won the second half? He did not. I think he learned his lesson from saying that in Vegas. I don't think he will say it again. I said it a bit tongue-in-cheek. If you lost the second half, you'd probably be in a bad spot after going to halftime down 22 points. Again, and to add on to that point, I mentioned this at halftime, in 3 Big Ten road games against Michigan, Illinois, and Wisconsin. To be fair, 3 teams that are probably in the top half of the league. Rutgers has been outscored by an average of 24.7 points in the first half. That's 144-70. When you dig yourself in that kind of a hole, it's almost impossible to dig out of, and that's why Rutgers 0-3 on the road and struggling to do much there. Ryan Forbes asked, any insight on if the team will stay in Midwest or come back to Jersey to regroup before Iowa? That's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that. I think they're going to come back. They would get back tonight. They'd be home Sunday, and then they would fly out Monday if that was the case. I'm not sure what the correct course of action is here, but I think the more time you spend in your own bed, the better. I don't have an answer for that for you, but I guess my thought process is if you go to Iowa tonight, you're going to stay there tonight, Sunday, Monday, then play Tuesday. I think it's a little long. I guess winter break is still a thing, but I don't know if that matters, frankly. Tune out early, but my husband kept yelling at the TV, not sure what he was hoping for. Well, Linda, I mean, if you were really, really optimistic, I think you watched that 22-7 spurt. Tariq Francis, who I think his performance summarizes the game for Rutgers. He was smoking hot to start the second half, made his first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots of the second half in the first 10 minutes. When he subbed in at 15:40 left in the game, in the span of 5 minutes, he made 5 shots. And that came after he was 0 of 6 in the first half. He was 6 of 10 in the second half. So pretty much a non-factor in the first half, has his usual scoring spurt in the second, and ultimately it's not enough. What he didn't do was get to the free throw line, which he usually does, at least in the home games. He only went 2 of 2 from the free throw line. The free throw line, Rutgers went 15 of 19. All 4 misses were Darren Buchanan, who had a bit of an up and down game. Hit 2 threes, got to the line, got some rebounds, 7 of them, 2 assists, but went 0 of 4 from the free throw line. By himself, Darren Buchanan missed more free throws than the entire Wisconsin team. They went 26 of 29 from the line. Star Reaper says, why has the coaching staff stopped playing Lino? Big reason for the Oregon win and would have been a good asset to slow down Nick Boyd. I think Lino Mark is a non-factor offensively. He hit his first jumper of the season today. He had 4 points, 1 of 1 shooting from the field, 2 of 2 on free throws, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. I don't think he's exactly a lockdown defender, and it's hard to justify keeping him on the court when he doesn't add much offensively, though I guess you could say that for multiple guys on this roster. But I think if you ask Steve Peichel what he would say is matchups. And, in the first half, obviously there was nothing going right for Rutgers offensively. I think in the second half, there was. And Lino did play. How many minutes did he play? Lino Mark played 10 minutes. That sounds about right for what he should play in a normal game. Brian Forbes says he's a tough guy. Fall will try and come back as soon as possible. Again, not ruled out for the season. So I would expect him to come back unless things get worse. I will look more into that. Rut fan asks, any idea if Baye Fall's contract is structured based on his minutes? No, I don't know that for a fact. I haven't seen his contract. I haven't seen any of these guys' contract, but no, none of them are based on minutes. In theory, they can't be pay for play because then they're legally not allowed to be pay for play. They're for name, image, and likeness. Now there could be incentives, right? If you hit a certain threshold, like Jet Elad had an incentive. If he's first team All Big Ten, he gets an extra $100,000. Obviously, didn't hit that incentive. But my point being, that is a possibility. I have never heard of a player having a minutes threshold. Certainly not in college basketball. Maybe in soccer with transfer fees. I've seen that. I've not seen that in college basketball. Everyone is saying that they're staying out there. Thank you guys for letting me know. RU Hoops Project says that TJ Thompson confirmed that at the court club. I am not allowed to be at the court club, and from my understanding, things that are said at court club stay at court club. But I appreciate you guys filling us in. So they're staying out there. I don't know if they're flying from Wisconsin to Iowa and staying there tonight. I don't know if they're staying in Wisconsin, flying to Iowa. I don't have the details there. Ryan Forbes asks if there's any insight on any team bonding activities. No, I have no idea about that. Sorry, Ryan. I don't have any insight on the court club. Pistol Pete says guards are too short to defend most Big Ten guards. Can't teach height. Another team constructed poorly. Yes. No, Ryan, I'm not banned from the court club, but reporters are not allowed into the court club for understandable. And the club, it's kind of self-explanatory there. Guards are too the guard. Yes, I mean that was an issue that we raised in the preseason. I thought there were stretches during the game today where Wisconsin's guards really got pretty much what they wanted. Were able to physically dominate the Rutgers guards, get to the rim. I think Rutgers did a little better of that in the second half, but ultimately between that and the lack of a center that really killed Rutgers, I think the numbers bear themselves out there. Wisconsin had 32 points in the paint. They only had 8 offensive rebounds, but they got 18 second chance points off of those rebounds, which is nuts. And they got 8 offensive rebounds on 31 misses. That's still a 26% rate. That's not great for Wisconsin. Pretty decent for Rutgers, but it was not as even in the first half. Again, I thought Rutgers defended better in the second half. It's hard to tell how much of that was Wisconsin taking its foot off the gas when it was up 26. I think that's just a natural reaction to dominating a game that much. And then I think the lack of size in the guards impacted Rutgers in the sense of the constant fouling. Having to deal with bigger guards, it makes it harder to keep up with them and leads you to be handsy. So no more comments to catch up on right now. I will quickly go through the Rutgers players just to kind of go through some quick grades. I thought I wouldn't have to do this because I normally don't do this in a blowout, but Rutgers was competitive enough in the second half to I mean, you guys tell me, what do you take from the second half comeback? Do you view that as, Rutgers showing some life and coming back, or do you view that where I more lean to in that I think Wisconsin just was up so big. They're up 26 points. They're kind of, putting their foot off the gas, saving themselves for a long Big Ten season. And, Rutgers took advantage of that and kind of came back. But it never felt to me that Rutgers was in any real, or I should say Wisconsin was in any real danger of losing that lead, given the fact that when they got down 7, they put their foot back on the gas, got to the rim at will, got fouled, got to the free throw line, and made their free throws. You guys let me know what you think there. JaMychal Davis, 12 points, 5 of 8 shooting, 1 of 4 on threes, but the 1 3 he hit was pretty big, was down the stretch, and kept the Rutgers in, being able to close the distance. 4 assists, 0 turnovers. Wasn't great defensively in the first half, but he did his part offensively. Kane Powers, 9 points on 3 of 10 shooting, 1 of 5 on threes, 2 of 2 on free throws, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers. Decent assist to turnover numbers, but 9 points on 10 shots is not good no matter how you slice it. He had a stretch in the second half where he hits 2 jumpers in the span of 90 seconds. Other than that, kind of what we've been accustomed with him offensively, just kind of throwing the ball up when he has some space and hoping for the best. Bryce Dortch, 6 points on 2 of 3 shooting, 3 rebounds, 4 fouls. Not really able to keep up defensively with Wisconsin's bigs. Wisconsin was just so much bigger than them inside, and that bared itself out particularly in the first half. Darren Buchanan, as I said, a bit up and down. 8 points, 3 of 6 from the field, 2 of 2 on threes, 0 of 4 on free throws, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 block, 2 steals. Again, complete roller coaster where he hits 2 big threes. He gets some big rebounds. He does have a couple assists, but 3 turnovers. A couple of them were pretty bad. He misses 4 free throws. He has a chance. He's at the line, 2 free throws with 3:24 left to cut the deficit down to 10 points and keep Rutgers battling down the stretch, keep them in the game. He misses both of them, and Wisconsin finishes them out. And then he misses 2 free throws with 6:55 left, and Rutgers down 9. So he could have brought them down to 7. So 2 opportunities to close the gap. Again, similar situations as he had in the Northwestern game where he could have closed them out but didn't hit those free throws. Rutgers is hitting its free throws. I don't know if it's hits clutch free throws this season, at least not Darren Buchanan. So, again, up and down performance. He's probably around a C just because it was highs, lows, roller coaster. Harun Zerno, 21 points, 5 of 10 shooting, 5 of 9 on threes, 6 of 6 on free throws. I mean, that's what you want from him. That's what you need from him offensively. But the issue is, much like Tariq Francis, 18 of his 21 points come in the second half when Rutgers is already down 20-plus points and they're coming back. You don't need that scoring when you're down 20 points. You need that scoring when you're in a competitive game where you keep things close. All the points count the same, sure, but how useful is it to get all those points? Particularly, he scored 7 points in the last 2 minutes and 19 seconds when the game was essentially over. So maybe it's a positive things of a sign of things to come. Maybe he finds a bit of a groove, but this is similar to the Tennessee situation where he had a huge game against Tennessee in Las Vegas, but much of the production came when Rutgers was already getting blown out of the water and they're catching up. If Harun Zerno is able to score like this when Rutgers is in a close game or early in a game in the first half, then they'll be able to make a much bigger impact. Tariq Francis, already talked about him. Again, 0 of 6 in the first half, really struggled, turned things up in the second half and helped kind of start the comeback. But was for not. Lino Mark, we touched on him. Dylan Grant, I'm assuming he's still kind of dealing with the flu because once again it was a bit of a non-factor. 3 points on 1 of 4 shooting, did hit a 3. Other than that, he had 1 turnover, 0 rebounds in 14 minutes, and I think that's not going to fly for Steve Peichel. Rutgers needs more from him. He's their best player, and if he's not going to be able to give them much offensively, Rutgers is going to have a tough time competing against the quality Big Ten teams. Chris Newley, 2 of 3 shooting, 5 points, 1 of 1 on threes, 1 turnover. Fine cameo, decent defensively. Didn't like the shots, but was what it was. Emmanuel Mole, 4 points, 2 of 2 shooting, had a nice alley-oop, 9 rebounds in 21 minutes. Struggled defensively, but did decently offensively, better than usual at least. So we'll go through a couple more comments. I do not have any insight on men's lacrosse scrimmage. We don't really cover lacrosse, frankly, unless they make their mark either going to a Big Ten tournament final, deeper in the NCAA tournament. Just not a sport that we pour a lot of resources into. Got to make your free throws. Again, I think Rutgers is shooting fine from free throws. They shot 15 of 19 on the season. They're shooting Let me get those numbers up. Let's see if we can get them updated. On the season, they are shooting 72.2%, which is decent. 184th nationally, right about the best they've had under Steve Peichel. But it just feels like they're not hitting free throws in clutch situations. A couple games that's shown itself, and it didn't bite them against Northwestern or Oregon. It didn't really bite them today because, frankly, even if they had hit all of their free throws, they still would have lost. But it's not a sign of good things when Rutgers is going to have these close games against Maryland's and Penn State's. You're going to have to hit those free throws to win. The attire for the game, Chris Corso, who was on the radio broadcast, and Jerry Recco, the radio play-by-play. I'm not sure what you want them to wear. If you want them to wear, three-piece suits or whatever. I thought Corso's windbreaker looked kind of cool. I thought that's a pretty good piece of memorabilia. I wonder if Rutgers sells them. I haven't seen that before. I think it might be team issued, but I think that would sell a little bit if they put that on the team shop. Just a thought. Darren Buchanan with free throws. We went through that. They all practice their free throws. They practice their free throws in practice. They practice their free throws by themselves. They practice their free throws. Does Rutgers have a shot at the crown? Probably, right? I mean, Nebraska made the crown last year and won the crown last year, and they had a record of, well, first of all, they lost to this Rutgers team last year. They had a record going into the crown 17-14, 7-13 in Big Ten play, and they didn't have any bad non-conference losses. Those are two big differences. Rutgers does have a bad loss to Central Connecticut State. That might hurt its candidacy for the crown, and I don't think they're going to get to 7 Big Ten wins. That seems highly unlikely. Now, will the crown be desperate enough that they go, they have to keep digging deeper into the Big Ten standings to pick a team? I guess in theory, enough teams could say no, or, things could break their way. I think Rutgers should get to at least 5 Big Ten wins before thinking about making the crown. And then the teams have to accept going to the crown, right? So I think last year Rutgers decided not to go to the NIT. Maybe they're in a different situation this year, different team, different, their best players are not, vying for top 5 draft picks in the NBA. So maybe they'd be more willing. I think that's a conversation to be had 2 months from now, or I should say a month and a half from now, when you have a better understanding of your final record, and it's that time. So I think they have a shot to answer your question, but a little too early to think about that. All right, unless you guys have any other comments, thoughts on how this game went, where this team is. They play Iowa on Tuesday, which should be a absolute rock fight. Iowa plays at the slowest pace in the Big Ten, one of the slowest paces in the country. So it should be a low-scoring game. Ken Pom has it at 78-59 Iowa. That sounds about right to me. They just destroyed Indiana today, 74-57. Indiana is very much a boomer-bust team, shoot a ton of threes. So sometimes they go and sometimes they don't. Rutgers does not shoot a lot of threes, as evidenced today. So we'll see. If nobody else has anything last second to say, we will see you Monday. Politi and I will record our podcast as usual. Hopefully by then we have more news in the transfer portal, have some more, maybe have a defensive coordinator by then. I wouldn't hold my breath. I would think that by the end of this upcoming week, there is a defensive coordinator, because if there's not, I'm going to start polishing my resume myself and putting myself up for the candidacy for the job. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Ryan Forbes, for saying I'm the man. Thank you, Linda, for tuning in and participating. Always appreciate you guys. Alec from the Night Report podcast says he highly recommends watching this game for Ben McCollum. I'm a big fan of Ben McCollum. I'm a big fan of Bennett Sturtz, his point guard, maybe the best point guard in the Big Ten. Should be an interesting watch no matter what. I agree. That's the beauty of the Big Ten, is that even when your team is not competitive, there are a lot of interesting teams to watch in the league. So, again, if we're done here, we'll see you guys on Monday. Make sure you submit your questions to the Discord, to our Twitter account, to our email, Politi and I. Send a carrier pigeon if you'd like. Until then, enjoy the NFL games, enjoy college basketball, and we'll talk about Rutgers sports soon. Thanks. Bye.